I realized that there are certain points which student always do these mistakes. Student to get a perspective from a student itself, pick up their points, answer their doubts. Actually, it helped me clear my basics. What we get is basically experience, which as a student you won't be much focused on. One hidden benefit would be,
how can one become a TA?
I did 2 international research internships.
There would be work culture differences, there would be environment differences.
We are restricted sometimes in our own boundaries. They don't work like us. Work should be treated as work.
Were there any major obstacles?
The direct professor is not interacting with everyone, stealing work of someone else. They never interacted with the actual professor. Students are eventually forced to go through this. My primary goal that time was to clear UPSC, but जब प्यास लगेगी, you won't be digging a kuwa that time.
Hello, Namaste everyone. My name is Anjali Panchal and I am a student of IIT MBS just like you. If you are seeing my face for the very first time, consider subscribing because I make videos that make your BS degree easy and enjoyable. So guys, I welcome you all to the third episode of our EDUCAST series. So, today's guest, he is a fellow BS student. He has done 2 international internships already and he has been a TA for the past 1 year. So, in today's episode, we'll be asking him about his journey in the BS degree, his international internships, how was the work experience there, how was the work ethics there, and about TAship as well. How to become a TA, what are the benefits of becoming a TA, and much more. So, without further ado, let's start today's episode of EDUCAST series.
Hello Utkarsh, welcome to the third episode of our EDUCAST series. So can you please introduce yourself to our audiences?
Hi everyone, my name is Utkarsh Sahu and I'm currently a degree level student at IIT Madras BS in Data Science program. I have been TA in few subject for 3 terms and I have also done 2 research internships. One was in Montreal and one was in France. So yeah, that's it about me.
So Utkarsh, do you have any specific interest in any field?
Yes, so I think from the starting of my schooling, I have, delved a lot in maths and computer science. And computer science was something which was one of my favorite subjects, and I scored very good in these. One, I had Java from my 9th standard to 12th standard as I was ICSE student. So from that time, I was already introduced with DS and all that stuff. And when I joined college, COVID came. So then there was a huge, roar on YouTube. Everyone was preparing DSA, this and that, machine learning. So I think I had a lot of free time and I went with that. So with that, I started developing more interest in these subjects. So that's how it went on.
So, were there any specific moments or some milestones that solidified your interest in pursuing a career in computer science?
Yes, initially, to be honest, even though I had very good interest in computer science, I was not hoping to make career out of it. I joined a college in Delhi, Delhi Technological University, for pursuing my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. That was more of to get exposure from Delhi, and I was wanting to prepare for UPSC civil services. But eventually, few things came. There was COVID. I was not able to go in my first semester, and when I went there again, lockdown came. So there was nothing, substantiating out of that thing. And in the meanwhile, I knew basic programming. I also knew web development a little bit in my first semester. I learned these all things online from YouTube, free code camp and all. So I got one internship. They were offering me pay. They were offering me a room to stay. They were also giving us cab service. So I thought it's a very good thing. I will at least get some time in Delhi and at least get that exposure which I was willing for. That's why I took a degree in mechanical engineering, because that was an exchange for exposure of a city. I changed my field. So that's how I got my first internship, and that was in basically a government body, Central Adoption Resource Authority, and where I was developing the websites for adoption, basically used by different stakeholders, government body, the people who are applying for taking adoptions and all that stuff. So I was on that stuff, and it paid me, and I think I got some sense of money, how it changes your perspective. And as a second year student, that was something really good, because no one else at that time got any internship opportunity, and I had something in my resume, so I was very proud. And then I realized that yes, coming forward, I would need certain money to sustain myself in the city, or for whatever be the reason, even for pursuing a UPSC coaching, I would need something, and I'm not going to ask my father. So that's I realized, okay, I can maybe become a freelancer or do something here and there and get something for myself. And then it became a full-time career choice. So that's how it goes.
So your journey is indeed very aspiring for many of us. So you mentioned about the teaching experience, the teaching assistant for the IIT Madras BS program. So what was that role? Can you please brief us about that, and what that role taught you about leadership and mentoring?
Okay, so since most of us know that we have, in the IT Madras BS program, most of our lectures are pre-recorded and we get certain support from course instructors and teachers every week in terms of live recording. So live sessions and all that stuff. But at certain times, it's always better to get some guidance from someone who has been in your shoes just one step ahead. So like in normal degree colleges, people generally ask their seniors, how should we do this thing, do that thing, what kind of questions come, this and that. So for such questions, this role of teaching assistantship is very useful because it helps student to get a perspective from a student itself. And we generally deal with problem solving and how we as a student will approach a problem in exam conditions, because you have limited time, you have limited resources, and some tricks play in that time. So you have to make sure that you are optimizing all the resources and getting most of your marks in that time. So I think as a teaching assistant, it was really a good experience. I dealt with business analytics course, which is basically a subject of diploma in data science, and I have been teaching assistant for 3 terms. Uh, Really good experience. I enjoyed a lot teaching students and interacting with them, because there are all kind of students. Some people try to understand more, some people are more concerned on marks. So you are also focused on catering an audience. You also have to make sure that you pick up their points, you answer their doubts. You learn a lot of things, because when you are managing the discourse, you are taking these doubts, you understand that everything cannot be done in 2 hours. So lot of time management, lot of picking up the correct questions which people fall. And then like after doing one term of this TAship, I realized that there are certain points which student always do these mistakes. So it was my responsibility in the next term to highlight to them that, see, this has happened in last term. People were doing this question wrong, or this is a very common mistake. So finding out these patterns. And definitely, I think teaching, on the other hand, from whatever you are doing, keeps you in touch with the subject. So I think it was a very good experience to remember my things which I studied as a student. And yes, it gives you certain hold of a subject as well, because you are on the other side, you are answering the questions, and sometime people will come, why are we using this, what is the main reason. And then as a student, we were more concerned on marks, so we just use that formula. But when you are in that position, you need to make sure your basics are correct, because you won't be answer such question if your basics are not in the place. So actually it helped me clear my basics around the machine learning and all that stuff in that subject.
So most of that you mentioned is, I think, a student's point of view. So I would like you to, give us more info about how this TA-ship, enhanced your understanding of the field that you are currently in.
So I think as a teaching assistant, what we get is basically experience. You will have very good, by the end of your teaching assistantship, one thing I can promise is you will have better version of yourself in terms of understanding of a subject. Your basics will be clear, will crystal clear, because you will face some students who will ask nitty gritties of these things, and then you realize, okay, I need to come up with solution by the next session. So definitely your basics would be clear very much in these subjects. So you get certain knowledge addition as well, which as a student you won't be much focused on. Second is your enhanced communication skills, and this leadership quality, because when you are trying to communicate, you have to make sure that the person understands. Sometimes there are concepts which are too much technical, so you have to draw analogies. Certain times I have to switch my language, like whenever I'm speaking English and I realize the person who asked me question is not able to articulate his doubt, or his expression is not that correct, so I ask them, are you comfortable in Hindi, and then I tell them that thing. So you realize that you are also, it's a kind of service, and you are also catering to the students. So you also get that experience that regardless of whatever is happening, the student should get that thing. So this is also a very good experience in my opinion. And the best part is the experience which you get, it's also, acknowledged by the program holders, like the institution. They give you certificates, you also get remuneration. uh, I think it's around 10,000 per month. And few people also do this in person, so they go to IIT Madras campus and they also get the hostel facility. So it's also a good experience to, and get the hostel experience. So these are the few points which I believe gives you a very good understanding. And one hidden benefit would be you can also apply for letter of recommendations. One problem which I see many of the students from IIT Madras BS program face is that they don't have any letter of recommendations because they have not worked something anything. They only have generic letter of support. So I would suggest try for TAships. Get one subject in which you have done very good score. You have an S or A. Apply for a TAship. Try to clear that interview, and when you are as a TA, you give 2-3 terms, then it's a very high chance that you will be eligible for a letter of recommendation from a professor, so you can use that thing. So this is also something which is a hidden benefit. But yes, if you do your TAships in a very good manner, you get a good feedback, very high chance you will be eligible for a letter of recommendation from that faculty.
You said that everyone should do this TAship if they are interested in. So I would like to ask you, how can one become a TA? Like, how can we apply to become a TA? Is it for the students that are specifically having A or S grade, or is it for everyone? Are there any Google forms to be filled, and what is the process?
Okay, so I think after end term and before starting of the next term, there is certain gap of 2 weeks or 1 week. Within that period, a team, there is a specific team which handle all the TAs and all. They will release a form after taking input from the course team, like do they need TAs, how many TAs they need, and all that stuff. They will roll out the form, and then you will have to fill that form. There are certain guidelines, like apart from a TA, there is also a role called mentor. So many students, when they face problem, they can get mentorship sessions. I think it's a paid one. So you have to pay for getting those mentorship sessions. But when there are enough number of students, uh, there is a mentor allotted to them, and they take these sessions. So maybe you first become a mentor and then become a TA in that subject. So that's also possible. And yes, so basically you fill the Google form. If you have a good grade, like yes, this is a requirement because obviously you are going to teach someone, so you need to be having a very good grade in that subject. S is preferred, A also works. So these are the guidelines, and I think for TA they need 8 above CGPA, and for mentor role they need 8.5. So yeah, that's it. And more of the eligibility criteria depends on the exact course team which is hiring. So few course team, like I know programming in C, they hire for basically in-person TAs, and there are many other courses they want their TAs to be in person at IIT Madras. But few courses like in which I was, like business analytics, it was a little more liberal in that case, and I continued my TAship remotely.
So you were talking about two international internships as well. So can you brief us about them, and what were some challenges that you faced during those experiences?
Okay, so yes, I did two international research internships. One was basically, these all were fully funded, and one was basically coming from mitacs. It's basically a research program organized by a government of Canada. They invite students from 12 different countries, including US, Germany, Singapore, and all. So you apply and you select certain projects. Like they have a very vast list of projects, and you don't necessarily have to be from engineering background. I know people from law, I know people from literature who have gone there for doing this research internship. So yes, you select projects according to your interest, you rank them, and then your profile is forwarded. Obviously you need certain things, and when you are selected, basically for certain university, it's up to professor. I know few of my friends were selected without interview. I, on the other hand, had interview. So it depends a lot on your CGPA. Like if you are, department topper, you have done a specific research paper in that particular field only, just matching in the direct specific niche, very high chance you will be picked without any interview. But let's say they want to, it's totally upon the professor. So if they want to interview you, they can interview. I know many people, they were asked for submitting some form, some kind of an assignment. So it totally depends. But yeah, that was my first internship, mitacs global link research internship, and I did that in University of Montreal in Canada. And then the second one was a similar one, charpak lab scholarship, which I did in Paris at PSL University. This is also a similar procedure, but the difference here is they only fund you. They are not going to provide with you projects. So you need to find one professor or a research lab, someone who is willing to host you as an intern for 2-3 months. So that's a different in case of finding the project. Else everything remains the same. They fund for your stay. They also, when you get that letter of scholarship, it's very high chance that your visa would be approved. Very high chance. I have never seen visa getting rejected apart from any issues. So these are some benefits of these things.
So you mentioned that during your Paris internship, you need to find the projects and the professors by yourself. So I would like you to, shed some more light on how did you, initially searched for these internship and how you found them, and were there any major obstacles to, during the process of finding the internships?
Okay, yes. So I think coming to the finding these internships, like where I came to know about my tax, charpak, dad, and all that stuff. So I think it was much because of my peers and my seniors and most of the people whom I have connected on LinkedIn. So I had this thing from the very beginning in my mind that I have to go abroad while studying, because if I'm relying on my full time income or something like that, I won't be able to save. So I need some kind of scholarship to go abroad. That was, to be honest, purely for travel purpose, more of traveling, something to get out of India, see what's happening here and there. My passion was that only, to be honest. And then I realized, yes, there are certain programs. I got to know that there are many research universities inviting students to do research for 2-3 months in summer. So I thought, it's best of both worlds. You also get to do research, you also get some experience. On the other hand, they also give you certain, days, and there are certain cultural programs in these internships and scholarships. So I thought, why not to apply for these? And this would be the best, because if you go as a student, you don't have to worry about, the big hefty amount for 2-3 months. So that was my initial motivation. And then I just, I was searching during the COVID time. I think I make the most of the time instead of, rotting in my bed. I used to scroll LinkedIn and come and, connect with people from my college and few other people who have done such a similar thing. So then once you start connecting, once your algorithm is in the place, I think you will be recommended certain same people. So I will suggest start, searching, start connecting with such people who have done things which you want to do, and talk to them a little bit. They will also tell you, like I remember someone telling me, there is this as well, there is this as well, you need to check on their website. So few are like hidden resource. Like most of the people were doing charpak and dad is basically the same thing which happens in Germany. And charpak is still, I think, underrated. Most of the people don't know, but now mitacs and dart have been closed, so Indian students cannot apply, so they need to find other alternatives. So you need to have some network to get to know which internships are open, because when we talk about these things, people generally only talk about US and other countries, but there are many other countries like Taiwan, Japan, Eastern European countries who are also having these programs. So you need to connect with such people who will tell you in the first place, like, yes, there are certain opportunities in these countries as well, and you can try. And then coming to finding a professor, because I told there are two kind of programs. In one, they will tell you there are certain projects you need to pick from them, and others are you find someone, we will fund your stay. So when it comes to finding a professor, easiest and the most professional would be cold emailing. Find people in your domain and in which you are working. Let's say I am working in mostly natural language processing, specifically, I think it works more. What my work has been on historical text. So I find people who have done similar work. So my filter the list is very short. I know there are 10, 20 professors who are working with such field. So I know where I can shoot my mail, and that is why I think knowledge of your own interest becomes necessary. Like if you don't know where you want to work, you won't be able to filter out. Like there would be, every professor would look like, if he gives me letter of invitation, I can go. So don't do that. Try to find some niche. Try to find some person who are working in your field. Then it would be easy. And if you are, thinking everything under the ocean is my territory, then you will be in trouble, because you will be like, I need to mail everyone. So that's not a good approach. And try to, as I said, try to find a niche. Then again, you will know there are only 20, 30 professors working in that particular field. So a very high chance someone will reply. Second is, if you have worked in, prior experience in that field, in that niche, with some Indian professor or some lab, try to ask people there, like, do you have a colleague in France? Or maybe what you can do is check if someone who has done their master's or PhD from that institute or lab, where are they? So you can connect with those people and check with them. Third, I think, crazy one, use Twitter. It's a good option. You find a lot of things there, and be active on Twitter. I made one separate account for my tech Twitter, so I post all the technical and all these achievements and all that stuff there. So yes, you can make a Twitter account, and most of the professors are actually active on Twitter as well. So where I found my professor who was ready to host me, it was on Twitter. I followed him because I liked his work. He followed me back, so I knew at least he will reply me, yes or no, but he will reply me. So then we connected on LinkedIn as well, and then I saw, yes, he's accepted my LinkedIn request as well. So I knew there is certain chance that I can get a clear cut reply, yes or no. So I mailed him, and then that's how I got it. So I would suggest, network a lot. And when you are planning for such things like internship abroad or studying abroad, let's say, PhD abroad, whatever, these decisions are not made in one day that, okay, I'll go, just 1 month before. There is a lot of planning happening. You need to do your due diligence. You need to check which university you are going. Is the country safe? What are your actual plans? Like some people go for masters for sake of masters, like to get the knowledge. Few people go for immigration purpose because they want to live there. Few people just, they want to take a break, or they want to climb the ladder in corporate. So these factors have different things. So you need to do your due diligence. You need to check what is correct according to you, and then find right people, network. Yeah, that's it.
So, since these internships were abroad, so I am sure that there would be work culture differences, there would be environment differences. So, what did you learn about, adapting to new environments and work cultures while interning abroad?
Okay, so when we are talking about the work environment and the work culture differences between India and these countries, I think there is a very vast gap, because obviously we are a developing nation and these are already first world countries. So there are certain checks and balances, and they make sure that no one is crossing certain limits of working hours and all that stuff. And if there is any need of overtime, let's say, they always, incentivize that. So I, even as an intern, you will get certain benefits, and they are very considerate. Like when I went to Montreal, I also received health insurance and all that stuff. So these things are, always taken care of. Coming to other part like work life balance, definitely I think they are very strict, because I remember I used to have half an hour sync with my professor. And if we are able to solve that bug or issue which is, a blocker for me in that time, good enough. If not, then we go to the next week, because he was someone, until unless it's just 5 minutes, he won't be extending the meeting timing just because we are in flow to finish the work, because they are very productive and they have certain schedule to follow. So they really care about these things. They are not extending meets unnecessarily, unnecessary meets or unnecessary workload. Everything which we were doing, he was very supportive. And whatever ideas we were pitching in, he was, they are very, the best thing which I realized is professors there, specifically coming from the research part, because I have done 2 research internships only. They are very much open to feedback. They are ready to listen what you have, what ideas you have, and how we can improve on certain project or on certain topic. Contrary to the fact, as I have seen in India, a few of my friends, I think when you join a lab, they have certain topics pre-decided for them, and they will tell you to choose among these. And your, thesis supervisor or whosoever, your principal investigator for that project would be basically assigned based on that project, not what you want and what your interests are. And I've also seen these certain practices. Like I know few of my friends told me that they did intern and they never interacted with the actual professor. They were just working with the PhDs and postdoc. True fact, because good professors are very busy. So I do agree, but I think they must take out certain time to, interact with the interns or whosoever is working in the lab. Then I also came to know that they put first name. Like in India, it's very common that professor will have first name, then PhDs, and then you, even though you would have worked entire thing on your own, but you would be the last person in that paper to be published. Again, it's not a generic fact, but in general, in tier two cities, I've seen this. It's very common. But students are eventually forced to go through this because this is the only option of getting a letter of recommendation. So when students know they need to go outside, they would need certain letter of recommendation or something. So they go through this cycle of process, even though we can debate if it is ethically correct or not. But eventually, most of the students go, and this is something which I realized there, that there was not this case. My professor, he himself approached me from himself, that the work you have done, we are trying to present in as an abstract in one conference, and we will be continuing the project. So do you want me to put your name? By default, I'm putting your name because I can remove it coming forward, but I cannot add it later. So he was very considerate. Like he told me that I will put your name by default, but if in case you don't feel like to go ahead, then you can definitely message me. So that was one striking difference I thought uh, we as people should develop here. And then one thing again, I think like stand-up calls in corporate also, every team meets once in a week or twice in a week. And we used to have that in both the places. Like we were having discussions about what we have done till now and what we can do forward. So these kind of things lack because here the supervision is done by maybe a master student or PhD postdoc, not directly by a professor. I agree, obviously. It's okay. Professor cannot give time to everyone, but definitely he should come weekly once or sometime, to check in what's the process. So yeah, these are certain work differences, especially focused on the research lab part.
I would like to ask you, what were your initial inspirations to explore the international opportunities? So, like you
Yes.
mentioned, you would like to travel the world, or was it because the you don't like the work ethics here in India, or was it something else?
Okay, so definitely, I think first initial one was traveling because I wanted to see what's happening. Because anyways, you have seen things in film and you are fascinated, Statue of Liberty, this and that. Have certain fancy that there is, a world which is much better in infrastructure and all that stuff. So definitely, that was, I think, traveling. As I said, these things are kind of, uh, as a general teen, I had this thing in mind. I need to once go abroad to, just even for travel, but I need to go because I have heard from a lot of travelers that it gives you sense of exposure, and it also opens your thinking process. You're not restricted to one particular culture. You're not restricted to one type of thinking that this is okay and this is not okay. So I was very curious, and I even in India I've traveled a lot. So I think this was one major part, and I realized as a student it would be a good opportunity if I go as a in an exchange program. So and because financially also I'm not in a place to fund 3 months of stay in such countries like Canada or France. It's very expensive, very very expensive. So I needed certain help. So I thought these are the best programs if I can crack, and that would be the best part. And secondly, also, as I said, when I eventually came to Delhi, my primary goal that time was to clear UPSC. But then within my first year, I realized most of the peers are like me, like same percentage of marks, same percentile in J mains and all that stuff. And everyone is trying to do something. So kind of, I also thought if I won't be doing these things, I will be lagging behind, and I will be preparing for something which, I'm still not eligible to fill the UPSC form. I just turned 21. So waiting too much for something which is in future, it was not seeming that much feasible. I talked to my uh, mentors in my family and few relatives. So everyone was like, have a normal college life. Think of UPSC after you graduate. So I was like, okay. So then I got into this, and I think I have never turned back, and I have been enjoying this thing a lot.
So, if I talk about the international exposure, so it is a very broad topic, as we all know. So, how did you identify the area where your international exposure could help you grow personally and professionally as well?
Mhm. So I think in a lot of ways, especially on personal front, maybe technically it's the same. You work on an NLP model in India, in France, in Canada, it's not going to change. So on technical terms, may or may not be depending on your supervisor. So maybe he's expert of his field. So then I do agree there would be certain differences, but most of these changes you will feel on your personal front. I when I first had my flight from India to Montreal, I was very scared because I've never cleared immigration. It was my first time holding a passport and first flight directly from India to abroad. And so, too much things on my head, very much nervous, never away from my family. My family members are like, these things can be a scam. And already Canada has a bad image. So they were like, it could be a scam. But then I had to, show them, no, it's a legit document from government. And then they cross verified. Okay. They were still worried. So even I was worried. And so I think it's a personal journey. You overcome that, you become more confident. I interacted with people. Montreal is a French speaking city. Signs were in French language. The you can understand from the images, but you cannot read it directly. And menus were in French, so it was already it was not like you go and you see just like you're in another city of India. Everyone can communicate. You do have definitely some communication gap. Again, you have your own duties like household chores, cooking food, taking care of flat, and still enjoying and doing your work. A lot of things are there, and you need to manage your time precisely. Traveling on the other hand, I think in India we use rickshaws and all that stuff very frequently. But when you go abroad, you don't dare to call an Uber. It's a 2 hour walk. You will go 2 hour walk. Then you will take a metro or a public transport, because there you don't think of taking Uber unless until you have some good amount of cash with you. So I realized, I became more confident when I went to Paris. I did not take any taxi. I directly took a metro to that place, and I reached my place. I was very I was confident in myself that I can do it because I have already been in such a situation. So again, it's a very small thing, not taking a taxi and just taking a public transport, because I knew you can. These are the things where you save, because I realized when you take taxi, you give 50 euro, 500 euro, depending where you are staying and all that stuff. This can be, totally dependable. But if I take that 1 month pass, and I would be using that again and again. So I thought, why not do it? And I think I got this sense of saving money as well, because if you are saving 100 there, it becomes 1,000 here, or even more, 1 lakh. So you never know. So I think managing my money also, I came to know how to organize my meals, because you don't have luxury of cooking food 3 times a day. It's not India, I'm sorry. You are all alone on your own. Good enough if you have friends, but again, they're of your same age, so it's in batch. Like one day I'm cooking, one day someone else is cooking, one day I'm washing the dishes, something like that. So you need to also make sure your food is proper, and you do batch cooking. One day you are cooking something, one day you're cooking something. So you also have to organize this thing, because you cannot be daily eating dal chawal. You bring some days mushroom, you bring some days something exotic, local to the cuisine. So these things, these decisions also, the day to day decisions which you will make on your own will give you immense confidence, and you will be definitely proud of yourself, because when you take this decision and you realize, oh, I have never done this thing in India, but I am doing this on my own and everything goes well. So you will be confident. Definitely. It will increase your confidence a lot. And I think in, professional sphere, when you're confident, you have certain aura, and definitely this helps you a lot. Be it anything. If you can confidently pitch in yourself, it increases your value. People see you as valuable asset. They are ready to take you in. and they will always value you. You won't be someone, just on an exchange. You will be someone with, different experience, cultural experience, and who has greater adaptive skills. If one thing in corporate I've seen, people always go behind adaptive people. They want people who can adapt quickly. So this thing actually really helps.
Okay, so since you mentioned networking more than a couple of times, so I think it
Mhm.
would be an important topic to discuss. So, would you like to tell how is networking crucial for a professional growth, and how do you recommend the students or the professionals to build relevant connections effectively?
Like networking is a buzzword. Like जब से lockdown लगा है, I've seen this word coming again and again and again. Network करो, and LinkedIn and all. LinkedIn पे तो everyone is just network. Networking does not mean randomly sending request and accepting it. You need to understand at certain point you will be changing your company, your career, your goals, or sometimes you just need a neutral third party advice, someone who is not biased toward you, or someone who is not biased towards certain decision or company, or that part. So in these places your network actually helps you. And one thing, like, there is a idiom in Hindi, जब प्यास लगेगी you won't be digging a कुआं that time. तो तुम्हें पहले से अपने connections बना के रखने पड़ेंगे कि जब तुम्हें जरूरत हो, they are ready to help you. And it does not happen, overnight. Like I told you, I had that professor for charpak, so it was not something that happened overnight. I liked his work on Twitter, and then I followed him, he followed me back, so there was certain rapport between us. And then I approached him. So similarly, if you are, looking out for professors, and if you're looking for mentorship, so you need to be in a right direction. Like, follow them. If you are liking their work genuinely, be genuine. Try to, fill in the gaps. Let's say you see some research, and maybe you can mail them like, hey, I saw this and that. This is how we can improve on certain topic. Or maybe if you saw some, a junior or senior, you can also connect. And while connecting, don't always look above. You should also look below you, because you never know where your juniors go, and they can also help you. So goes for the senior. Connect, make good connections, in the sense, attend some conferences or meetings. Like every company organizes these, small events, random events, some random conference or some random, creator summit or something like that. Go there, enjoy. If nothing, go for food, get some goodies, come back. Because I have been doing this for long. I have good collection of bottles. If anything, I am happy. I'm getting a bottle in the end. I'm getting some free food in the end. At least go there. You will have one person. Like, हम लोग शादी में जाते हैं, and we find one cousin जिससे चिपक के रहना होता है. Go to a conference, find one person, उससे चिपक जाओ उतने टाइम के लिए. LinkedIn पे उसको मैसेज करो. Tell them, hey, it was really nice interacting with you, so and so. And over a time you can definitely, be in touch. Not like every day आप ping कर रहे हो, but once in 2-3 months कभी बात कर ली, how are you and how is your journey going, this and that. I'm not saying be unprofessional, but in a professional way, stay in touch. Because you cannot just send a connection request and accept, hey, can you give me a referral for so and so, and I have been, we met in so and so event. That's not really good. Because like, I'll give you one example. uh, few students approached me, for charpak life scholarship and this and that. How do we do this and that? So I already had one session with IIT Madras, the placement committee. So that was already on YouTube. I redirected them. Then few of the students wanted me to tell them, can you give me your professor email? So basically they wanted to work with my professor. Honestly, I had to give them straight no, because I don't know you. First, if that thing, I am not going to help you, because that would be unethical, because someone is trying their best to get some professor. And then the second was, another thing, like if one person would be bombarded with so many emails, so that would be difficult. So that were the two reasons I refused. But on the other hand, I have one junior who has been my roommate, and he has also helped me a lot. So when he asks for such favor, I am happily, very much willingly giving him everything. Oh, you take this, you give them, take my letter of recommendation format, and you can, edit things here and there, and then you will have certain for yourself. So favors always come on a personal ground. No one will favor you just because they know you. Definitely referral, they have certain incentive, but in a genuine sense, if you need some support, there has to be certain personal touch as well. So try to establish that wherever you meet, be genuine. Don't be like, correction banane ke liye baat kare. Be genuine. If you have certain point of touch, If there is something, someone is working in IBM, you worked in that company, tell them, oh, I worked at this and that. So you are from the same city, discuss about food and all that stuff. Do connect in genuine terms as a human to another human. Don't see people as resources. Oh, it's a Microsoft, I will connect with them to get a referral. That won't be working. Connect on genuine terms. That will give you something much, much better to, you know, move forward, because uh, obviously connection is your network, because definitely you have people in your surrounding, you see them, you look up to them, what they are doing, what is going on. If they are doing some, professional course, I come to know about, some new country launching some new program, because I have friends in these networks. I have talked to the seniors who have done this thing previously. So I know many seniors from whom I took this guidance, like, I'm applying for charpak, I'm applying for mitacs, please review my statement of purpose, my letter of motivation. And now I see them doing some PhD or MS program. So now I have that edge. I can ask them directly, I see you are doing so and so. Can you tell me how this program is? So they will give me a very clear cut picture of that university abroad, that, okay, yes, you can come here. There are certain, uh, point which are lagging here. So when you have certain personal touch, when you have interacted with people previously, it will help you a lot.
So, Utkarsh, I was going to ask you about the specific strategies or the platforms for networking, but you already mentioned them. So, let's move on to the topics and let's discuss more about your TAships and internships. So, how have your internships or TAships experience shaped your current career goals?
Yes, I think there has been major impacts about these things what I have done in past. And when I initially joined college, I had some different career goals in mind. Right now, I don't think I will stick to that original plan. I want to go in research. I also want to pursue a master's. After that, yes, maybe I'll come back, and I'm planning few universities, few particular courses for masters, especially in France and in Switzerland. So let's see where it goes. I will be finishing my BS the next term, so I'll be applying after that, and I hope I get into some good thing. Then let's see what happens, because the research internships have actually given me a good path. I have connected with few great professors in my field, and I know they are teaching in certain universities which also have a very good, overall ranking in the world. So I had this plan in mind that I will pursue my masters, and then let's see what happens. If I get a job there, or if I go into PhD, that's also something I have in mind. I think I can do that. And yeah, so these are certain things. And regarding the tiership, so I have realized that teachers really value this thing, because they see this not just from this perspective that, okay, this student knows. They also know this student knows this thing and he can also tell others. So there is one added advantage in this. As well as when you're going abroad, this is a very common way to sustain yourself. Teaching assistantships are paid there as well, and you will be getting a good amount. I've known people, who have covered their entire tuition fees just in exchange of TAships and all. So this, becomes really important if you have a prior experience in TAships. I think it really helps in, building your profile there, and getting your expenses sorted out.
And also to ask you, so do you feel these roles, this TAship and internships, these have altered the way you approach problem solving or anything else?
Yes, definitely. I think, especially when you do research internship, you realize that science and research, these things are kind of risky. You propose certain thesis, and then you try to work on this and that. Then you try to make sure you can find some result, but it won't work always. Sometimes your experiment will fail. Sometimes it won't give very good result. Sometimes you're wrong as well. So it gives you, one thing. You become, you have more perseverance. You stick to it. And yes, definitely, research is a risky career. Definitely, you need to think twice before going into it. It's not a straightforward thing. Corporate ladder, you do this thing, you will become after two years this senior, and then again you will be promoted to a manager after 2 years. It's not like that. And again, uh, yeah, I mean, it gives you, more confidence. I think when you do research, there are certain steps. So it's more, I'm not, very organized when I'm having certain problems, specifically to certain approach. You also have to look, we do literature review, regardless of whatever problem you are doing, science, humanities, commerce, you always look into work which others have done. So, and take feedback from, peers. It's not like some higher authority, some manager telling you this is correct, this is wrong. In general, most of your research is reviewed by your own peers, as in some other professor in same field, some other PhD student, something like that. So this collaboration and this taking feedback critically, understanding what they are trying to say, this actually helps in the sense you become quite uh, foolproof of this thing. You don't really mind someone saying that this is wrong. Maybe you should approach in that way. I've seen this thing. People take it an ego when they are in corporate that try this other approach. Maybe this is not correct and all. So people take it on ego. But here I realized it's okay. They can also be right. You can also have different perspective of certain topics, and it's okay to have different truths. They can also be true. I can also be true. We both can work on different paths and still get to the same result. So definitely it changes your perspective to.
So, Utkarsh, to ask you about your future goals, I would like to ask you what is next for you? Is there anything specific you are working towards right now?
Hmm. I don't think anything much specific in the sense, because whenever I've decided some specific goals, it completely went in another direction. I went for, I wanted UPSC CSE for after 12th, uh, had to go into engineering. Then I started learning German. I thought maybe I was planning, to target DART. It's a similar thing like mitacs and charpak, but for German. So I started learning German thinking, they will see someone who knows B1 level or A1 level of German, whatever. It might increase my chance. But then I got two chances of international, but both of them were French. So I'm not making any decision particular on any topic fixated. But yes, I do have certain things in mind. I have certain areas of work which I want to do my masters in, because right now, I think there is a lot more scope to increase my knowledge in certain subjects and certain part of science. So definitely, I'll go for a masters, and I'm pretty sure of this thing. But not right now. I need to finish my BS. I have good chunks of courses this term, and next term, then I think I'll be done with BS. Next year, I think I'll go for masters. I'm pretty sure for that thing. Until unless I have something other coming up for me.
I wish you all the best for your future. And let's move on to a more broader approach now. So, from your perspective, what are some common mistakes that students or the professionals make when pursuing opportunities, whether academic, professional, or maybe personal?
Okay. One thing I think people underestimate themselves a lot. Uh, ठीक है, overestimation also kills. Don't be overconfident, but don't be underconfident. That's also something, you cannot reject yourself. I've talked to students that are like, हम तो अप्लाई नहीं कर सकते, हम तो tier 2 में है, हमारा कॉलेज इतना अच्छा नहीं है, हमारा CGPA इतना अच्छा नहीं है. Please don't make excuses on your end. Just apply and forget about these things. Just apply. And whatever the application is, if you can, let's say there are multiple programs like Chapa that does not require letter of recommendation. So apply at least on your end. Do everything which you can. You can find a professor, find him, apply from your end, apply your transcripts. If you don't have letter of recommendation, it's okay. They will want to reject you, they will reject you. You cannot do that thing, but at least you can apply. So do things which are in your end. I've seen many people waiting for a perfect time. I mean, perfect time will never come. They will, maybe I should pursue this course. I've seen people, for applying internships. I will pursue software engineering, software testing, then I'll apply for internship. Don't waste your time or your energy for this thing. Like, I will pursue one course, one certificate, then I will come for this thing. Don't. That's uh, if until unless that's a very professional exam, like maybe you're thinking of CA, that's another thing, or something like that. But not for these courses or something. You are good to go if you know more than 50% of the job description or something which they have as requirement. If you know more than 50%, shoot your shot and forget it. What I realized is this process actually is very hectic in itself. Like application part is okay, you apply, but waiting for this answer part is something which actually drains out your energy. होएगा कि नहीं होएगा and all that stuff. So what I suggest is do what is in your hand and don't think of results. I remember my first time when I was applying, I had this thing in mind: mitacs for Canada, charpak for France, and dart for Germany. Dart, I knew I would be rejected because I was told, even though they have this criteria of minimum eligibility of 8.5, they only take students who are above 9 and all. 9 CGPA. So I knew I would be rejected, but why to take chance? I was 8.52 something, just on the border. I still applied, I still searched for professor, and I still got rejection. It was something I knew would be coming. But I think that gave me very good experience of how to cold email. And when I got reply for one person, this professor for Chapak, and then I got selected for my tax. So I knew I won't be attending Chapak. So I had to, tell him that I won't be attending this year, but next year I will be taking you as a host and I'll apply Chapak. So I had this professor 1 year in advance with me booked. So you never know how things come for you. So, shoot a shot. Don't think you're not good in the sense, or don't wait for others, and always be confident of yourself, because that's something which matters the most. Maybe you are not technically proficient very much, but definitely you can do things if you know more than enough.
So, one advice you would like to give to the pitfalls.
Common pitfalls, I think, again, like just I said, people underestimate. There is also overestimation. Don't, apply for things which you are not made for. If there is certain role which asks for PhD, then you won't be selected. So don't waste time here and there. Don't waste too much time in, this thing. Like I've seen people there is a trend like for networking. People say, build in public and all that stuff. If you're doing very basic tasks like solving DSA questions, people are, posting everything on LinkedIn. Today I solved 6 questions. Don't waste too much time in showing. Instead, have something substantial. When needed, show it. I'm not saying don't do this in public. When you have something completed, project is done, good enough, post it. But don't do this, every day you're posting LinkedIn updates. Don't focus too much on these superficial thing. Okay, if I'll post again and again, I'll have certain reach, and then I will be, uh, given some work. It won't work in that way. Yes, someone might come to approach you, hey, you can do this or not, but eventually you won't be able to do this because you don't have that knowledge. So focus, the first base should be your knowledge. Don't skip that part. पहले knowledge complete कर लो, उसके बाद whatever your strategy is. Maybe you want to become a kind of influencer, post daily, I did this and that, and then you will get inbound clients for, uh, social media, LinkedIn and all. So that's also a good approach. If you are, into freelance, do this. This is a better thing. Have certain expertise and then start posting. You will have some inbound clients, or, HR approaching you for role and all that stuff. But the first thing is your base knowledge. If that is not there, whatever you do, you cannot survive, because eventually, let's say you cheated in exam, this and that. When you go to work, you'll have to have that knowledge. So no one can help you in everyday life. So make sure have a base knowledge very strong. Because what I'm seeing this as a trend right now is everyone is like, oh, let's do this course. ITMBS also, I've seen a lot of foundation students, they join because they see not as a course, they see this as, a tag, IIT tag. So if you think someone will look at your resume and see, oh, he's from IT and give you a job, no, it's not happening. I'm sorry. They will take your interview and वो पकड़ लेंगे कि आपको नहीं आती चीज. So I've seen this thing behavior. I think foundation level students are more enthusiastic, but one thing which they forget is uh, you need to be good in what you are, whatever you are saying. Let's say you're going for graphic design and all that stuff. Be good in that, what you are trying to say. Because instead of writing 10 different languages, I worked on so and so, 10 different framework, Node.js, Flask, and blah, blah. It won't be, it might fetch you an interview, but you won't be able to convert it successfully. So focus on your base part, and then you can polish your presentation and all that stuff.
Okay, so wrapping up the podcast very quickly. So, I would like to ask you, is there any specific advice or some message that you would like to share with the students or the young professionals who are, navigating their academic and their career journeys?
So as you have heard this thing, like it's a very common saying, grass is always greener on the other side. So you don't really need to travel to the other side. Grass will become greener on your side if you start watering it. So work on yourself. Don't always see this thing, because I remember when I was abroad, whenever I used to put story, I have 2 3 people from the ITM program. Oh wow, this is so good. Mujhe bhi aana hai, this and that. Don't get swayed away by things you are seeing. You don't know what I have been through there. You never know, because I missed a bus. These things keep happening. I will only post the good part. So don't get swayed away by the social media or these things. And it's not necessary to go abroad to become success. Please no. As I was saying, when I say I want to do masters, it's not like just abroad. I also know few universities in India which offer a very specific program where I want to work. So if I get there and I need to do the cost benefit analysis, think in your own way how much you can afford, how much will you get in return. Do your own calculations, because what I've seen is very common, in the sense they will say, भैया ये कर ले, can we do this thing, क्या हम ये फॉर्म भर दे. I mean, भर दो, please do it. Why are you asking me? अरे मुझे ये आता है तो ठीक है भर दो, पर मेरा सिलेक्शन होएगा कि नहीं होएगा. I am not the committee to decide. So I think instead of thinking on these things कि फॉर्म भरना है नहीं भरना है या किसी और से एक्सपर्ट ओपिनियन मांगने से अच्छा है, do the thing. Don't wait for these things. Like even in TA sessions, I've seen this thing. Students have this curiosity. अच्छा अगर हम इस फंक्शन को इस फंक्शन से बदल देंगे तो क्या होएगा. चेंज इट, सॉल्व इट, देखो क्या होता है, चेंज करके खुद से देखो. दैट विल एनहांस योर ओन अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द कॉन्सेप्ट एज वेल, एंड देन यू विल बी सेल्फ सफिशिएंट. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ वेटिंग फॉर कि आई विल मैसेज 4 सीनियर्स एंड देन आई विल मेक श्योर कि इस जगह पे अप्लाई करना है या नहीं करना. थिंक, डू योर कॉस्ट बेनिफिट एनालिसिस. Do you have that much time? Do you have that much luxury? Can I go for another master's, or do I already have some student loan I need to pay it off? So job becomes your first priority. So I cannot be in your situation, you cannot be in my situation, and so will be the case for others. So don't get swayed away by this social media thing that, oh, he's having a very charming life, it's very good and all that stuff. People only post the best part. So you need to think from your own end. If like I've seen this thing very common. So please don't go ahead. Like, I mean, if you think it's not good for you, trust your gut feeling. It won't be good for you. So have faith in yourself as well. That's the best thing. Like having faith in yourself can be the thing which can give you a lot of confidence, and you can literally go ahead from any problem, regardless it's a professional, personal, or not. Have faith in yourself. Have a clear mind. Have certain priorities. Okay, I need to fulfill this thing first. I will have to do this, that, then and that, and then you will automatically have your flow of path. What to do next?
Okay, just the last question. So, if you had to summarize your journey so far, so what would be the one sentence you would summarize it in?
It's very tough, to be honest. Because I think it was, full of twists and turns. You make really nice connections. You have this sense of belongingness, and then definitely, I think it changed. One thing I learned is, like, you always have to learn, relearn, unlearn. This is a continuous cycle. It's never going to end. And now I'm away from all those things which my parents used to say, 10th kar lo, moji moj hoegi, 12th kar lo, moji moj. It's never going to come. You need to take your time out for yourself. And this is, what life is. I have understood. You focus on yourself as well, your upliftment, as well as you'll also have some personal life. So you need to put them both together. You cannot wait for, I'll do this thing, then this will come. Both will come together.
Okay, so Utkarsh, it was really, nice to have you on the podcast. I personally learned a lot, and I'm sure the audience will get to learn a lot from you. So thank you so much for giving us your time, and thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
Thanks, Anjali. It was great having you, and I hope it would help the audience. And definitely, they can reach out to me. I would be available on various platforms, LinkedIn, and obviously the IIT Madras Google Chat. So you can reach out to me.
So thank you so much, Utkarsh.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.